local Channel 8, access cable Channel 8, and live streamed, which is available through their website. Candidates may link to this website, but may not place any portion of it on their website. According to FCC policy, candidate forums must be broadcast in their entirety, except by media reporting on an event. Candidates or their staff are not to record this forum. Please turn off all electronic devices except for yours, and take this opportunity to silence your cell phones or pagers or whatever. And to the candidates, be sure when you speak that your microphone is turned on. That has to happen in order for the TV audience to hear you. The people in here can hear you, but the TV audience can't if you don't have your microphone on. The town of Superior is a statutory municipality with trustee-manager form of government. The town board of trustees consists of 6 trustees and a mayor elected by popular vote of the residents. In this election, voters will elect a mayor and 3 trustees. Each will serve a 4-year term. Ground rules for this forum are each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer questions, which are collected from the public and read by me, the moderator. And each of you will have the opportunity to answer the same question so that people can compare your answers. Reviewers will check the questions as they come in for readability and duplication. Questions that personally attack a candidate will not be used. We'll begin the forum with an opening statement. Candidates are seated according to how their names will appear on the ballot, and I see that our first candidate has not arrived yet, and so we will start with our second candidate, which is Clint Folsom. You have 3 minutes, and observe the timers here. They will tell you when there's 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and when it's time to stop.
All right.
They have 3 minutes now. Okay. They'll figure it out.
Okay, good evening. I'm Clint Folsom, and it's been my honor to serve as your mayor for the past 4 years. I'm here tonight to share some accomplishments, to answer your questions, and to ask for your support in my bid for re-election. This year I celebrated my 20th year of living here in Superior. This is where my wife, Leslie, and I lived when we got married, and where we lived when both of our sons were born. They're now 12 and 13 years old and attend Eldorado's middle school. I'm very proud of the accomplishments that I've been a part of while serving here as mayor over the past 4 years. We've seen the opening of the downtown Superior development, the opening of Wildflower Park. I've supported local businesses by participating in economic development meetings and celebrated new businesses by attending dozens of ribbon cuttings. I introduced the annual State of Superior Manager-Mayor Update, and I've accepted just about every invitation I've received to participate in events involving the children of our community, such as graduation speeches, scout meetings, second grade tours at Town Hall, classroom civics lessons, judging high school debate competitions, and much, much more. My favorite question that I like to ask the second graders is, who is the boss of the mayor? And one smart second grader usually says, your wife? Now they get really excited when I explain to them that they are the boss. The residents of Superior are the boss of the mayor and the trustees. I want them to know that Superior belongs to them, and it's never too early to start having a role in our local government. Now, what you may not know is that none of this is required. You see, the job of mayor is actually pretty simple. Conduct 2 meetings per month and sign things. Now, I don't have to attend regional or national meetings representing Superior. I don't have to deal with ribbon cuttings or schools or any of that. So why do I take on all that extra work for no pay? I do it because I view my opportunity to serve as your mayor as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I decided from day one that I was going to elevate the role of mayor to much more than just running meetings. It's been fun, challenging, and incredibly rewarding. My agenda is very clear. It's just service to the community. I've proudly served our community for the past 6 years on the Planning Commission, and the past 4 years as mayor, and I'm ready to keep serving you for the next 4 years as your mayor. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting, and I look forward to a good discussion this evening. And I also want to acknowledge that today is September 11th, a day that we lost 3,000 people, and since that day we've lost another 3,000 approximately due to diseases from the exposure they received on that fateful day. So let us not forget September 11th. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Jack Shane.
Again, my name is Jack Chang. First of all, I want to echo what Mayor Clint just mentioned about 9/11, remembrance of 9/11. And again, my name is Jack Chang. My family and I have lived in Superior for 11 years. We love Superior for its parks and other amenities. I'm running for mayor because I want to put your hopes for our town of Superior first. I want to hear from you and prioritize your thoughts in the decisions made by our town board. I strongly believe our current mayor has not been serving in your best interests, in our best interests, and I promise to do better. If elected, I will continue the legacy of checks and balances brought forth by the woman trustees leaving the board. Over there, lady over there, Trustee Dozell, Rita Dozell, and then also Trustee Sandy Hammerly, and as well as Trustee Sandy Pennington. And along with, again, the legacy left over by our own town advocates as well. I look forward to leading a more inclusive and collaborative process representing you as our town's primary stakeholder. I will lead our town to much needed change with my heart for Superior. And heart, it's actually my platform for the campaign and my mission. So H stands for healthcare, so equality in healthcare. E stands for education. And again, that would be equality in education. A stands for accountability in our town governance and in our schools. Responsibility and social responsibility and physical responsibility in our town governance and as well as in our schools. Lastly, T, transparency in our town governance and in our school as well. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and then for hosting this event. And I want to thank you all for your support and the opportunity to help enhance the quality of life for Superior residents and our children's learning experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Ken Lish.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event and giving the residents of Superior the opportunity to learn more about their candidates. I'd especially like to thank the residents that are here tonight and watching at home. As a quick disclaimer, the views I express this evening are mine and mine alone and do not represent the views of my employer. Many of you already know me and are familiar with my values and my positions, as I've already been an active leader in our town government and community for several years. I'm a husband and a father and value the family-friendly character of our town. I appreciate our beautiful neighborhoods, our parks, our open spaces, our schools, our businesses, and our neighbors. As a husband of a teacher, I appreciate the strong community values that make our town such a great place to raise a family. I've been the chair of the Open Space Advisory Committee for 3 years and have been a member for 5. In this role, I've enhanced the quality of life in Superior for residents by working to conserve open space, to build trails, to host community events, and to advocate for community input on important topics. In my capacity as a citizen of Superior, I've addressed the board on behalf of residents on topics including safety, development, traffic, land use, fiscal responsibility, and recreation. My vision of the future for Superior is simple. I want to enhance the quality of life for every resident. I'll work towards this goal by ensuring that we achieve enough growth to support our local businesses and a thriving downtown and marketplace while still preserving the small town character and feel that we all live here for. I'll listen to, respect, and protect our current residents while ensuring future residents also have the opportunity to experience everything that makes Superior great. I'll work to conserve the natural experiences in open space that ensure our quality of life and define Superior's character. I've lived in both the Sagamore neighborhood in Northwest Superior as well as Rock Creek. This gives me the perspective to engage and represent all parts of the community while ensuring the decisions are both transparent and built on a solid foundation of robust community input. As a certified public accountant, I'll ensure that the decisions of the town are fiscally responsible, and I'll safeguard the town's long-term viability. As a professional auditor that specializes in government effectiveness and efficiency, it is my job to hold the government accountable for proper stewardship of taxpayer funds. A vote for me is a vote for leadership, experience, and accountability. A vote for me is a vote for keeping Superior the best community possible to raise our children. A vote for me is a vote for keeping Superior special. A vote towards a thriving downtown that still allows us to balance that small town, family-friendly character that we live here for. I want to be your next trustee, and I hope that I can earn your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now Dalton Follett.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming out tonight, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for continuously holding these forums so the public can get a better sense of what each of the candidates for this local office represent and are committed to. My name is Dalton Follett, and I'm committed to Superior and the residents of Superior. Nothing in the world takes the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarding genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. That quote from President Calvin Coolidge hangs in my house and was drawn in calligraphy by my grandfather. To this day, that quote has influenced me and my decision-making. It has taught me that no matter the pressure or resistance one may face, no matter the obstacle ahead, no matter the scorn or fire and fury that some may throw at you, you must always be persistent. And if I may add to that quote, be persistent in doing good. That is why I am running. I want to do some good. Now more often than not, we believe politics and government to be something of a blood sport, a duel of words for narcissists and egomaniacs to engage in. But I believe politics and government in the right hands is there for the good of the people, for the needs of the community, to preserve, protect, and defend the rights and liberties for those in a community, such as safety, wellness, mobility through infrastructure, fostering community engagement, and education, to name a few. And in this case, right here, right now, these needs are for the needs of Superior. I've believed in that ever since I was in first grade and dressed up as George Washington for school, and in third grade when I could name all the presidents forwards and backwards, having read so many history books. And that passion continued to me into college, where at Drew University, I received an undergraduate degree in political science. I began working on various campaigns, anywhere and any way I could. I was a campaign advisor for a Denver public school candidate, a web developer for a town councilman in Connecticut, and a communications director for a gubernatorial race in New Jersey. Now I am pursuing a law degree at CU Boulder, and am plenty busy attending town halls, having booths at 4th of July and Chili Fest, and knocking on doors and talking to you, the residents of Superior. Government, and so importantly local government, is there for the people and to represent the needs and do some good. And that is what I aim to do. I've seen Superior change and develop over my 22 years I've been here, in some ways for the good, and in some ways I would have done things differently. More so than any other candidate for trustee here tonight, I believe, I can call no other place my home than Superior, Colorado. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will hear from Teresa Clark.
Good evening. Welcome. I'm happy to see all of you here. And I'm particularly grateful to the League of Women Voters who, since 1920, have been ensuring and assuring that voters were informed and that voters had access to the polls and fact-based information. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Teresa Clark, and I am your trusted neighbor. I want to earn your vote to be your trustee. My husband and then 4-year-old twins moved to Superior in 2013 from Boulder, right down the highway, because of Superior's safer streets, open space, and friendly residents. Superior is just a great place to raise a family and to live. I'm running for trustee to assure 5 things for our community. I know many people said, keep it simple, Terry, limit it to 3, but you should know that I am an overachiever with grit, so I have 5. Resident engagement in our governing process. I've actively participated in town board meetings since 2013. And I want to bring more ways for you, our residents, to participate in our governing process, particularly during open comment and public comment with our Board of Trustees. Secondly, transparency. All too often, I've seen residents challenged by the short nature of agenda items and the somewhat mystery nature of some agenda items. They call me and say, where did this come from? And usually my answer is that it's been discussed in executive session for a while, and we're just seeing it now, and you can kind of tell by the complexity of the issues that this is the case. I want to reduce executive sessions to only help residents. Most of our town revenue comes from only 5 sources and 5 retail locations. So I want to ensure that we retain those sources, and that we grow more retail locations, that we bring more retail locations to Superior, and I will ensure wise spending of our financial resources. The last 2 go hand in hand: informed decisions and effective management. Superior has 630 acres of open space. That's 20 open space and parks. That is 24.5% of our land. Did you know we have 205,000 feet of sewer lines? We have 25,000 sprinkler heads and a $45 million budget and 33 full-time employees. I bring this to your attention because being a trustee isn't just being an elected official, it's a job job. And I want to do that job for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Neil Shaw.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and residents both here in person in this packed house, as well as those watching from home. My name is Neil Shaw, and let me explain to you why I'm running to be your next Superior trustee. I grew up in Colorado. My wife Lakshmi and our 2 kids, Rohan and Ashna, have made our home in Superior for the last 9 years. My parents have lived here for the last 18 years, all 5 of whom are in the back room over here. We love the hometown feel of this community. We love the sense of safety and security. We love the schools our children go to, both of whom now go to Eldo Middle School. We consider ourselves blessed to be able to live in one of the very best communities in Colorado. We have roots here, and we plan to make Superior our home for many years to come. Because of all that Superior has given to us, I feel that it's time to give something back. I believe that I have a deep set of skills and experience that I can bring to bear on the board. I'm a CU grad with an engineering degree. I received my MBA from Purdue University. I currently serve as Chief Financial Officer of a publicly traded company where, believe me, one learns how to stretch every single dollar, as far as it can go. I have extensive experience in management, financial oversight, as well as the interface between business and government. In short, I know I can hit the ground running on day one to help our city function more efficiently and more effectively while also maintaining our small town feel. In fact, my first priority as a trustee is just that: retain those elements of our community we love so much: the wide open spaces, the friendliness, the outstanding walking and biking trails, and the high level of safety and security we feel all over this town. Job number 2 is to ensure that our high quality of life is augmented by smart growth decisions. I strongly believe that it is our job as citizens of this community to encourage or push development that matches our desires for the end state or the end goal. There is zero reason to rush anything. We must ensure that new proposals do not adversely affect new residents as well as existing residents and the existing neighborhoods. Finally, job 3 is to ensure our town remains prepared regardless of what may come our way. For a town our size, we have an outstanding set of amenities, and we must work to maintain that high level of service. Sadly, today marks the 17-year anniversary of 9/11. This month also marks the 10-year anniversary of the Lehman Brothers failure. This week is also the 5-year anniversary of the historic Boulder County floods. All of that is to say that while we work to conserve and preserve the outstanding community that we live and love, we must be prepared for the unexpected. We must be resolute in protecting our families and our community. But we must also be flexible enough to respond to opportunities and unexpected challenges that may come our way. I believe that I have the experience and some of the gray hair that can help Superior achieve these goals. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Anthony Stewart.
Thank you. And again, thank you to the League of Women Voters of Boulder County. I am very happy to be here this evening in front of you to talk about some of the reasons why I believe I should be one of the next board members for the town of Superior. First, I am married. My wife Carrie and I have 3 children, and we have lived here in Superior for over 20 years. We've had the privilege of seeing our children grow up here and attend local schools. And at this point, our 2 older children have gone on to higher education. So as a result of that, I've been a huge supporter of not only Boulder County School, but our local schools as well. I have served our community in various capacities over the years, including being a football coach, a basketball coach, and a youth mentor. I also have an interest in being a trustee because I'm a local business owner, and my roots are here. And we serve our community through our business. I have other significant experience related to this job. I am currently a member of the Planning Commission, and during that time have gained a great deal of experience and worked on many projects for the town of Superior, including downtown and most recently the Northwest Sub-Area Plan that is currently in progress. I am asking for your vote, and the reason I believe that I should be the next trustee is because I have a very clear plan of how we can make the vision of Superior a reality. What we really need to do is protect the past, present, and future of Superior. And I want to explore opportunities that both protects the historic value of our town and create new amenities that add value and livability for the present and for the future. I want to also build open communications between our town board and staff through inclusive partnership with our residents. I believe that that's very important in terms of transparency. And then moving on, I want to build affordable housing for seniors and older adults, as there are many of us who have been in Superior for over 25 years and will need, would like to stay here. So thank you. I will say more as the evening goes on.
Okay, and now we'll hear from Laura Skwadzinski.
Thank you, and hello, my name is Laura Skwadzinski, and I'm a proud resident and homeowner in Superior. I have to confess, although I've stepped up to leadership roles throughout my life, I've never had political aspirations. I began attending town meetings and speaking up on key issues, and it was only after several of the current trustees encouraged me to run that I looked into what the role entails. I realized that the role of trustee is exactly what I have done day in and day out for Fortune 500 clients for over a decade. As a management consultant at PwC, I lead teams to identify and solve problems, then implement and adjust the solutions until they're just right. And I'm delighted by the opportunity to do the same thing for our town, solving problems that affect all of our daily lives. I grew up in upstate New York and attended Cornell University on scholarships, where I majored in industrial and labor relations, a unique blend of business, economics, law, and social psychology. For a fun bit of trivia, I'll share that in 2009, at the age of 24, I broke the world record to become the youngest woman to run a marathon in all 50 states. And that's what first brought me here to Colorado, where I fell in love with both the mountains and the incredible people. I'm a big believer in setting lofty goals and working hard to achieve them. And that drive to always be improving permeates everything I do. Personally, I want trustees who are thoughtful, analytical, and business-minded. With my education and experience making complex decisions for clients, I'm the perfect candidate to make balanced choices for Superior. I know how to weigh both quantitative data and qualitative inputs to make a decision, and my client service skills have honed my ability to effectively communicate problems and collaboratively develop solutions. I know how to listen to people and understand not just what they're saying, but the heart of what they really want, which is sometimes different. As trustee, I'll be advocating for 3 things: fiscal responsibility, smart development, and transparent communications. I've identified a number of changes we can make to better communicate and engage with our busy residents, and have already been working toward this goal by recapping our 5+ hour town meetings on my blog, lauraforsuperior.com. I also want to update our 2012 comprehensive plan so that we can use it as a beacon to guide our choices, particularly as we're approached with new opportunities. In both my work and my personal life, honesty and transparency are my hallmarks, and they're qualities I think are essential to being a good trustee. If elected, I promise to continue openly sharing the data I have and my thought processes to provide a clear view into my decision making. 2 years ago, I asked each candidate to tell me what skill they would bring to our town. Let me go ahead and answer that question for you tonight. In me, you'll get an experienced businesswoman, an empathetic listener, and an engaged problem solver with a strong track record of building consensus and developing creative solutions. I look forward to meeting more of you to discuss these and other ideas you have to make Superior even better.
Thank you. So now we're going to move into the question and answer period, and I'm going to mix you up a little bit so that we don't always have the same person going first or last. So with this next one, I'm going to start with Ken Lish, and we're going to go this way, the way you've just gone. So here's the first question. If elected, what will you do to stimulate business growth in Superior? What businesses would you like to attract to Superior?
Okay. I think it's very important that we work to bring in a diverse and grounded group of businesses. We have a very strong tech center within the Boulder County area. We have Interlochen right down the street, and we have the downtown Superior area that is coming to fruition right now. I think we have a lot that we can attract businesses to come to Superior for, and we can offer them incentives to make them come here and call Superior home. I'd like to see technology, retail, if we could get a few more big box stores in the marketplace, and I'd like to see restaurants fill our downtown area. I think this is the right mix of businesses that can give us the safety and long-term sustainability that we need as a town.
Thank you. Dalton Valette.
Yes, thank you. So obviously business growth is incredibly important for Superior. And what I've noticed in comparing Superior's budget and the tax breakdown with a number of other local municipalities is that we have an opportunity to really encourage small business growth. And I think today we're seeing more and more individuals starting up their own businesses out of their homes, and the marketplace is changing drastically. We rely heavily on a lot of the big box stores, and I would love to see another big box store come in, perhaps in the vacant Sports Authority building. But I think one of the necessities that we need to encourage is entrepreneurship and small business growth for our Superior residents. And I would recommend everyone look at the Broomfield budget, which is something that I've found very fascinating, is that they have a tax breakdown where residents can come forward and actually appeal to the government about getting funds to start their own small businesses. And I think this is something that should be looked at for Superior.
Thank you. Teresa Clark.
Let's hope my MBA from the executive program at CU doesn't fail me now. I am not so sure that it's the businesses that we attract to Superior that are really the issue. I think that given internet commerce and the boom of it, that we need to be more diligent about collecting our sales tax revenue from e-commerce. And I would put that up higher on the list than I would attracting new businesses towards Superior. However, if I were to attract new businesses towards Superior, it would be in terms of small business growth, as Mr. Valette has just stated, because Colorado was just named as the 8th best place to start a business. And I would also be more concerned about where those businesses are located within Superior, because we need 100% of the sales tax revenue from those businesses instead of sharing half of it with Louisville and other entities. Thank you.
Neil Shaw.
Thank you. It's an interesting question because you have to ask yourself, what's the issue with the businesses we have here today? What is driving the high failure rate and the high vacancy rate that we have? Sports Authority, luckily, does have a resident coming back into it. It's going to be another furniture store. But if you look at Louisville and you look at the gold mine that is Sweet Cow, Lucky Pie, or Pika's, what's helping attract people to come there? It's pedestrian friendliness. Town Center is going to help us do that. What I'd like to see are more incentives to start the construction of the Town Center shops, and at the same time, figure out what we can do to help abate some of the early startup costs for new businesses. A lot of the turnover for the businesses that we see in Superior is because of the high rents for the two shopping areas. So what can we do to potentially abate their taxes at the front end so they can get over that failure rate of, that early 2 to 3 year failure rate? I'd love to see, another Sweet Cow, but, I don't know that we want one. Or, we did have the Baskin Robbins that failed, but at the same time, we all want a pedestrian-friendly, restaurant-friendly downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. And Anthony Stewart.
Thank you. That is a question that's not easily answered. If we look at what our town is doing to attract businesses, I think that we're doing just about everything we can within the realm of what we have at our disposal. And when elected, I will work hard with incoming businesses and those that have an interest in being a part of our town. And are willing to invest in our town by assuring that they have a board that is flexible and willing to consider their types of businesses here. I think that sometimes we, as officials, tend to push people away without really looking at the potential or the opportunities that are presented with different and various types of businesses. So that's what you would get from me when elected.
Thank you. Laura Skwadzinski.
Thank you. So as a management consultant, my specialty is actually consumer markets. I work with a lot of my clients on their e-commerce and digital strategy. So when Ms. Clark talks about how we're losing business to that, it's absolutely true. We're losing sales tax because people are shopping online. I'd like to see us really focus as a result on service businesses, things that aren't going to go away because people are buying online, but things we need to go in person to actually get. Mr. Shaw also mentioned pedestrian friendliness. I think that's incredibly important. I'd like to see us build out not only the town center, but also build up our Superior Marketplace, working with Brixmor, working to create an experience so that people want to come to Superior and so that our residents want to stay in Superior as well. I was very excited that some members of our CAPS committee recently went to the National Placemaking Convention. I'd like to take some of those ideas and put them in place here to make it a great experience for everyone.
Thank you. Clint Folsom.
Thank you. The good news is that our town has a lot of great retail for a 13,000 person town and 4 square mile town. The concerning part is that we get about 85% of our revenue from the Superior Marketplace, which is an 18-year-old center. And although thriving, everything needs maintenance over time, and that center is going to need some maintenance. And our board is already working on some very exciting redevelopment progress with Brixmor, the owner of that center. And that is going to be key to retaining and supporting those existing businesses that provide us with so much existing revenue. And our downtown Superior development is going to be a fantastic blend of retail, restaurants, and office spaces. So I'm ready to continue the important work of working with existing businesses and attracting new ones to these exciting spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack Chang.
Hi. First off, my daytime job, I actually manage an $800 million private equity fund, specialized in merger and acquisition. But besides that, so when I first approached, developer, RC Capital, regarding the reasons why they have not built out anything as far as retail, restaurants, and among other developments, and then their problem that they have is their inability to raise funding. And so I believe that aside from funding, there are many other things that we could actually look into to work collaboratively to get things going. So first off, regarding the small business growth and the change in our retail business, and so basically, I believe that what I would do.
I'm sorry you're out of time.
Okay.
That minute goes really fast, I know.
Okay.
Okay, so for the next question, I'm going to start with Neil Shaw, and we're going to go the other way. So here's the question. And let me suggest that it's possible that the answer to this question is no, and you can just move on. And if you can make a short answer to a question, we can get more questions in. So, Mr. Shaw, in the last year, has there been a decision that you have disagreed with? If so, what was it and why?
So I am a CFO of a public company, and we often have to decide on what we have to disclose versus what we should disclose. I'm happy to say that because of the company and the people I work with, I've never had to disagree, and we've always publicly disclosed whatever we had to. There's some nuance into the forward-looking guidance, and that's where we've often disagreed. What I've often done is weighed the pros and cons of the disclosure, looked at our lawyers, and then we've proceeded. The way that our company works, if we disagree, that's fine, but we still commit to the final outcome and we move forward as a team.
Thank you. Teresa Clark.
I'm assuming that question is a decision that the Board of Trustees has made, with which I disagree.
I think that's how you should interpret.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. I want to be clear in my response to this question, because the decision that I disagree with isn't so much the decision as it is the process by which we got there. And that is the decision that the Board of Trustees made to locate an auto dealership and sales and service center at the corner of McCaslin and Marshall. It is possible that this has been a decision that benefits the town. However, because there was no transparency into the decision, it all happened behind closed doors. I don't think residents were given enough chance to participate in that process and perhaps impart their wisdom to the Board of Trustees during that. Thank you.
Dalton Valette.
Thank you for that question. I think one of the decisions that I disagree with was one that happened back in June of this year, where a developer came forward and was able to use the town hall space to promote an idea to purchase a lot of land in Superior called the Town 15 for their innovation campus, and at the time was supposedly going to be a Summit Academy high school. I think the decision was something that I disagreed with because it gave poor optics that the town was further invested in this proposal than it actually was. And I would recommend, in order to alleviate decision-making like this in the future, to adopt a legislative tracker where online on the town's website, people could actually see where a development proposal or an amendment is in the process of being approved by the town board, so then we don't have confusion about the optics about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Lish.
Like Ms. Clark, one of the things that I disagreed with was more process related than outcome related. Earlier this year, the town board was considering adding a ballot measure to fund a rec center in downtown Superior for our community. While this is a great aspiration and we do need rec center and community space, the financial metrics of this decision were never sound and never should have been considered for as long as they did. The months that it took the town board to come to the conclusion that this was an infeasible and ultimately unsustainable project that would put our town's long-term financial sustainability at risk wasted a lot of both board time and staff time and wasted taxpayer resources. I'd like to bring skills and leadership to our board to make sure we don't do that going forward.
Thank you. Jack Chang.
I want to echo Ken Lish regarding the rec center proposal, in which myself and many other town advocates have helped shut it down. Again, going back to the financial metrics, and beyond the financial metric was the fact that there was a lease agreement in place that make it seem that the whole deal and the whole design of the facility is actually custom built for the two private entities, okay, specifically Sports Stable and Rough Rider Sports Club. And so basically, when you see the leaseback agreement, our town will end up paying $18.5 million on the surface and $49.7 million in 20 years, and then having to not get access, our residents not get access to the facility. So that is something that I had disagreed, and I put an end to it. Thank you.
Okay, Clint Folsom.
Thank you. You know, our community places a real high value on transparency and honesty, and less than 3 months ago, my opponent, Mr. Chang, and Ms. Clark were both in this room as developers presenting a plan to purchase town property that was not for sale for the Summit Academy Innovation Campus, and the board and myself ended up rejecting that idea. But it raises some very significant questions for me, and I think a lot of people, that it seems like an extreme conflict of interest to be a developer now running for public office. And is it an attempt to take over the board for moving forward an agenda? At the very least, it's a significant conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Skwadzinski.
So I find this question a little bit difficult because coming into a new board, I will absolutely support all decisions that prior boards have made. I think it's important for us to start from a place of agreement rather than coming in and trying to overturn everything. That said, I do disagree with the process that our current board has taken on several issues. The one that really comes to mind is quite controversial, but I'll go there. Last night, the closure of Weldon Way, I think residents were really torn apart by this, and a large part of that was not even the decision, but the process to get there. I think we really split residents apart, where some were on one side, some were on the other. There was bullying, harassment, and tears, and that's not okay in our town. Going forward, I want to see us do more collaborative roundtables where we're getting residents from both sides to sit together, co-develop solutions, and then have those solutions be what we decide on as a board, rather than having a board decide on something and having half the residents be unhappy with it.
Thank you. Anthony Stewart.
Yes, thank you. I was a recent decision that I disagreed with involved our town board denying the approval of a development in downtown Superior that absolutely, in my mind, fit the criteria of our comprehensive plan. And would have added value to our community. For me, it felt like maybe there was personal agenda there that, in my mind, does not need to be part of any board or part of any group that's representing many people. Therefore, I believe that there needs to be more open communication between town residents and between our board.
Thank you. Okay, so this next question kind of follows on that, so you can expand on it a little bit. And I'm going to start with Jack Chang. I'm going to go this way. Okay, so the question is, can you describe your approach to citizen input and any improvements you would consider for our current town processes in order to improve citizen input and community engagement?
So I want to take this time to address what Clint had mentioned. And so the project that we put forth is a community, it's a school-based project in which we actually, going back to your question about process, we went to the residents first. Okay, like so many other developers, they could come in and they could order an executive session and then deal with our town behind closed door and get things done that way, but we did not do that. We came to the residents hoping to get a broader public engagement, residents engagement, And so the process for me, if elected, it will always be, regardless of which project, which development, it will always be public engagement and residents comes first. Thank you.
Okay. Ken Lish.
Citizen input is crucial to an effective and properly run government. As someone who's lived in multiple areas of Superior, I would use my experience to be able to represent all the different perspectives of the different residents we have. I think what we need to do is do a better job of using not only our social media and e-blasts, but also creating different mechanisms and avenues for receiving additional input, not just pushing input out. I would also rest heavily on ensuring that we use more formal manners of receiving citizen input. Oftentimes, we've hired formal facilitators to conduct meetings of very controversial issues. We did this a couple years ago with the town hall expansion, and I think this would have been a very effective use of bringing the community together on the Waldona issue that was mentioned earlier.
Thank you. Dalton Vallette.
Thank you. So, as many of you have probably noticed at this point in time, I'm awfully young to be up here. But I do think, in all seriousness, one of the areas that I could focus in on to improve community engagement is by utilizing social media in a more effective manner. So many people now are on the Superior Rock Creek Residents Facebook page, are on the 0027 pages, Anything Goes. People are on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram. We really have access to a plethora of technology around us, and I think the town can utilize this to better engage with a lot of citizens who aren't able to take a ton of hours out of their day to come down to Town Hall twice a month and engage on the issues there. I also think a really important thing that we could look at is utilizing SurveyMonkey, which is a fairly informal use to actually engage with citizens and hear their inputs on issues, and is very cost effective to actually hear what citizens want from Superior Board members. Thank you.
Okay. Teresa Clark.
Thank you. I first feel compelled to address Mayor Clinton's previous comment that I, as a developer, presented something before the town. I am not a developer. I am a mom who has a child with dyslexia, and I was hoping to get a literacy assessment center for our children located somewhere within the town of Superior, with speaking with Mr. Chang, because I think education, particularly for our children, should be a priority. The ways that I would improve community engagement are things like providing childcare during town board meetings, because often the caregiving parent doesn't have the time to come and pay $15 to $20 an hour for a babysitter. The other thing that I'd like to see us experiment with is allowing residents to video their comments for public comment during Board of Trustee meetings. Thank you.
Okay. Neil Shah.
Remarkably, we are the world's oldest democracy for a reason. We exist because of the open and free-flowing ability to debate. Trying to go and bring as many people as you want into the conversation is critical to the success of this town, this country, and as much as happening in Washington, as ugly as it is the reason we are where we are. For the town of Superior, I think we have to include a lot of the things that have already been said, find ways to get parents. We have a very diverse demographics within this town. Some folks can attend, often they cannot. Let's look at other tools like WebEx or FaceTime or Google Hangouts or whatever, so that people who are at home for whatever reason, caring for younger kids or older folks, can participate remotely. The other thing is when it comes to dynamic interaction, the problems we've seen with the surveys is they're very lopsided. We get a bunch of input for one idea, but not a lot of engagement going beyond that. So I'd like to see more of that.
Okay. Anthony Stewart.
Yes, I think we need to build trust through open communications between the board and the community by having inclusive partnerships with the residents. Far too often, many of our neighbors feel as though they have little say regarding actions taken by town officials, or that they don't understand the process. When elected, I will work to ensure that information is received in a timely and effective manner, and that each individual, not just those with the loudest voice, have an opportunity to be a part of discussions and decisions that impact our community. I would like to propose evening meetings with the board that are not necessarily agenda based, but that are just an opportunity to have residents come in and voice concerns or opinions and things that are going on and that impact our community.
Thank you. And Laura Skwadzinski.
So I think today our town provides a lot of communications out, but we don't really have as many ways in. And what I find is that people don't really listen if they feel that they aren't being heard as well. So that's where I'd really like to open up more two-way communications. Rather than coming, public commenting, and then having it kind of closed off where it goes to the board for discussion, I'd like to see how we can get more back and forth similar to what we have at First Fridays. I think we did a great job last month with Original Town, hosting a roundtable where people could have discussions, co-develop solutions, and come up with some ideas that were really fantastic, and I'd like to see more of that. Furthermore, we have so many people that watch the videos online. I'd like to see us follow what Boulder did. Allow the opportunity to call in, provide public comment that way. There are so many of us who have families, can't leave home, can't leave work, and can't get to the town hall for a meeting. So let's make it possible for people to provide comments another way.
Thank you. And Clint Folsom.
Thank you. You know, good communication is absolutely key for residents feeling like they're part of our town. I try to personally reply to all emails in a mostly timely fashion, and it's hard because there's a large volume of it. You know, in development projects and traffic issues, we have so many issues that are complex and have a lot of history to them. So I think it would be very useful to people that are maybe tuning in later to something that's been going on for years to be able to easily pull up some archives of to give them a history of information so that they can get up to speed quicker and not depend on individuals to have to relay the story to them or not have them hunting for documents through websites forever. So I'd like to improve that process.
Thank you. Okay, for this next question, I'm going to start with Teresa Clark, and we're going to go the other way. So here's the question. How can we use technology to be smarter about how we run the town's business?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part?
How can we use technology to be smarter about how we run the town's business?
That's a good question. I think automation would help us in many regards. I think that there are things that we could do more easily online. For example, renting our facilities to have that as more of an automated process. I think that I would just do more of it online. Hopefully, though, not coming in kind of like the cold cut and laying a bunch of people off to replace our valued staff. But yes, that's what I would do.
Okay, Dalton Vallette.
Thank you. So as I mentioned a bit earlier, I think social media is a very important tool that we can better utilize. I would also like to point everyone to check out the Superior Chamber of Commerce app, Superior Source. We also have an app, Superior Click and Fix, which is where you can go around and report on, let's say a pothole is in your neighborhood. You can take a picture of that, send it in, and then the Superior town staff can actually address the issue and hopefully get on top of that very quickly. I think there are many different avenues that we can use online and in social media to better address issues and community input. And I would also recommend checking out the Colorado Legislature website, where they have their own legislative tracker where you can see and very easily access information, unbiased facts about issues and developments that are being brought forth and voted on by our state legislators and senators and congressmen and women. Thank you.
Okay. Ken Lish.
Yes, I think we can use technology to smarter run our town business in multiple ways. First, as we've discussed multiple times already, is we can create better ways to conduct meetings for people who can't attend. There's a multitude of remote meeting software out there that I use personally for business that I know we could implement here in town. Beyond that, I believe that we can actually utilize new technology to create groups, or as some software packages term them as hangouts, for citizens who are interested in specific topics and specific items. That way they can all go to a single place, have dialogue with one another, and where our town leaders can drop in and provide additional input and support and help answer questions. I see Superior as a leader, not only in Boulder County, but in the state of Colorado. I don't see any reason why we can't be at the cutting edge of municipal governments in making sure that we can work with our citizens to get the best results.
Thank you. Jack
So
Chang.
I go Mr. Lish and also Delton, and then regarding the use of technology to conduct the meetings remotely, and I was actually the co-president of Southern Hill Middle School PTO to use online meeting to conduct our PTO meeting. And I believe we could do the same way, and I agree with Ken that we could form groups of specific topic and subject matters that people are concerned of or interested in, and be able to get a broader engagement of all various topics and be able to get a better feedback, broader and better feedback from our residents. Thank you.
Clint Folsom.
You know, our town already has a great deal of technology options. Just about every meeting we have is recorded, and you can go back and view them online afterwards. But the world of social media and technology is always changing, so I think we've always got to be keeping up with the latest. People want to be engaged, but people are busier and busier with their lives, and they want options that do not require them to come down to town hall and spend hours sitting in the audience waiting for their opportunity to engage. So I think we absolutely need to come up with ways for people to engage in the process, but not be turned away because they feel like it's too much of a time commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Skwadzinski.
So I'm not going to duplicate all the communications comments. I certainly want us to reach residents where they are rather than making them come to us. So that could be by email, text, applications, or Facebook. I'd also like to see us leverage machine learning to instantly transcribe notes from the meetings, or even provide alerts to residents when specific keywords come up that they're interested in. But to take things a completely different way, I want to ask everyone, have you ever been out on our sidewalks when it's raining and seen some of our 25,000 sprinklers spraying more water everywhere? I'd like to see us explore the addition of smart sprinklers in our town that adjust to the weather forecast, which not only helps the environment, but also could save our town a ton of money on our water bills. I think there's a lot of ways we can leverage technology for smart solutions like that, and I'd like to see us do more exploration into things that other towns aren't doing and can make Superior the cool spot that's doing all of these neat things.
Thank you. Anthony Stewart.
Yes, sometimes technology for us older people feels very foreign. And however, I understand the importance of it and that technology is here to stay. I think that as our mayor said, we have a lot of technology in place for communications. I do believe that we can continue to improve on those, and we can continue to utilize it through various avenues. I believe that one of those ways might be more multimedia email and information blast, particularly around presentations that are being made to our town staff and to the board, so that residents feel like they are aware of what's going on. So I absolutely think that we need to continue to use our technology and improve that.
Thank you. And Neil Shaw.
Thank you. A lot of folks up here have echoed the comments around making our meetings, our town meetings, more collaborative, more interactive, and we can use technology to do that. I'd like to explore another track in the simple sense that, how many of us, we're all shareholders in this town, but how many of us know how it's doing? Dashboard metrics, simple metrics on, what kind of cash, what kind of cash we're bringing in quarterly. Many folks, trust me, don't like to dig through financial reports. I write them every quarter. They're painful, but most people like to see it boiled down to very simple red, green, blue, yellow, color-coded. And this is probably going to make sure that I don't get elected, but I'd love to see cameras taking pictures of cars zipping through pedestrian crossings when I'm in the middle of it. The technology is out there. I've seen it in China. It works extremely well, and it's not that hard to implement. Thank you.
Okay, for this next question, I'm going to start with Dalton Valette. And we're going to go this way. So here's the question. Are you concerned about the future of water availability in the West? And what proposals do you have about this?
Thank you for that question. And I would really echo what Laura had said. I think there is a lot of ways that we can utilize technology to better address the water issues that are facing Colorado. I'm sure we're very well aware that there are more fires every year in Colorado. They're getting deadlier and more encroaching into our neighborhoods. We are constantly in a drought in Superior and in the rest of the state of Colorado. And it is absolutely vital that we address a lot of these water concerns. I think we can open up a lot of discussions with Boulder County as well as with the state government to see about utilizing water in a safer and more economically feasible way, and maybe even opening discussions with our HOA to see if there are any ways that we can allocate less land on our individual home properties dedicated to grass, and maybe opening up more desert landscapes, utilizing rocks instead of having sprinklers be a necessity for so much of the land that we have.
Thank you. Teresa Clark.
I do believe that water conservation is an issue here in the West. And there are things that we can do. I echo Dalton's comments about working with our HOAs about the requirements of what amount of grass has to be watered, and can things indeed be converted to xeriscaping and low water concepts. But another way to look at this is that when we go into times of water rationing, usually the first thing that residents cut is their lawns. So to conserve water, they'll say, okay, I won't water my lawn 4 times a week. But these high-density residential units don't have an option to do that. So they're consumers of water, high consumers of water, and when they go into rationing, it's all about not taking a shower, not flushing the toilets. So we need to be very cautious in how we approve, or if we approve, these high-density residential developments.
Thank you. Neil Shaw.
Thank you. One of the great things about this town, one of the things I love, is the fact that it was designed with water conservation at the very beginning. All of our shared space used recycled water. It just keeps going back through. It drains through the grass, even if it's raining, goes right back into the sewer treatment facility and comes right back out or it gets evaporated. I would love to have that piped into some of the neighborhoods, and some of the new neighborhoods are going to have that for the front yards. Beyond that, though, thankfully Superior has been very long-term focused. It's part of the Windy Gap consortium, if you will. So we have, as a town, water rights for quite some time. Beyond that, in terms of echoing what Teresa said, when we used to live in Oregon, the municipality handed us all a little shower timer. So a little 3-minute timer in your shower, and you would just get out of the shower. We bought those here within our family. We don't all use it. Some of us do. But the point is, simple mechanisms like that are very effective at conserving water. Our yard, by definition, is 90% of the water that we use, and the HOA has been very proactive about helping folks switch to Xeriscape. The city has been very good about helping us switch to smart timers, but there's other things that we can do. Thank you.
Okay. Anthony Stewart.
Yes, I am too concerned about the availability of water and continued water. I want to support projects that are proactive and to protect the water that we have. Also, long-term projects that will ensure that we have water in the future. I think that there is many ways that that can be done, And there are ways that information will be coming forward. So I want to support those projects that are coming and make sure that we have water for our future.
Thank you. Laura Skwadzinski.
So as I had mentioned in my previous answer, I am concerned about our use of water, and I want to see what creative ways we can take to limit that. One thing that the town of Superior currently does not do, unlike some of our neighboring towns, is partner with the Garden in a Box project. They help residents put xeriscaping in at a very low cost, and most of our neighboring towns have subsidized efforts for people to do this. The town of Superior has not partnered with that, and I'd like to see us discount that so that all residents can get it at a much cheaper price. Going also to what I believe Mr. Shaw had said around creative ways to take showers, I'd like to see us start in our schools with our efforts there, and tell the kids exactly what they need to do to conserve water. And there's creative things you can tell them. Listen to one song while you're in the shower, and that's when you're done. Things like that can go a long way. And I think if you start with the kids, the parents will listen.
Thank you. Clint Folsom.
Superior is very unique when it comes to our irrigation system. We have a town-wide water reuse system where we take treated water from our water treatment plant and use it in the parks. And you've probably seen the little signs, not for drinking, and that's why. It's not treated to drinking level quality, but it allows for reuse of that water on our parks and open space areas that are irrigated. And anytime we have a new development coming along, that's always one of my questions that I'm looking for on the plans is, are we tying into that reuse system? Because this is a town-wide system, and we need to be always making sure that if we're adding grasses and landscape, that we take advantage of this great system that we have in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack Chang.
So I echo everybody said about water conservation and usage. One thing that I could think of is a company that we invested in, and it's an artificial intelligence, so AI technology company that could take the usage data, take the sensory data that folks over here talked about, and then be able to come up with a predictive model and to better conserve and use the water. But beyond that, as I was mentioning earlier regarding what I could bring to help grow our business in Superior, it's the ability of using AI in healthcare and AI in education, in which I will, if I get the opportunity, I will elaborate more on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ken Lish.
Yes, so it's a little difficult to still be original when we get to the end of the line. However, I will echo how fortunate we are to be part of the Windy Gap Firming Project and that we've secured our water rights for years to come. And I will echo what Mayor Folsom said, that we have an excellent reuse system for our sprinklers in town. As the chair of the Open Space Committee, I was fortunate enough to go on a tour with the Director of Parks and Rec and actually see firsthand what that reuse system looks like and how it works in our town. One of the things that's impressive is it takes more than 3/4 of a day to water our entire town. There's actually substantial intelligence already built into our water system that makes sure that we are effective and as efficient as possible. Additionally, one other thing we can do is rely more heavily on our advisory committee on environmental sustainability for new ideas and initiatives, and rely heavily on other initiatives such as the nonprofits who will come to our homes and measure our sprinkler systems to make sure we're as efficient and effective as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to start with Anthony Stewart. We're going to go this way. And the question is, what is your philosophy about balancing development and open space?
That is a great question, and I believe that is answered simply by saying that we want to protect the past, the present, and the future of Superior. I'd like to explore opportunities that both protect the historic value of our town, and what I mean is that there's significant open space. There are numerous parks throughout our town, and they're all a very added value amenity to our community. There has to be a balance, however, between how much of that you develop and how much you leave open. In the development portion of that, I believe that there are needs for housing that we have in our community that we must address. And I think that that's how we go about developing our need for and want for open space and our need and desire for development.
Neil Shaw.
Thank you. I love the open space of this town. I have probably ridden or walked or run every single trail and open space that this city has to offer. And I want to see the open space that we have basically grown and maintained as much as possible. However, I do completely agree with Anthony in the sense that we do have to find a way to fit more people in this town because they want to live here. Boco is a fantastic place to live. For me, it's about high density housing. I know it's probably not the best thing that everyone likes to see, but having lived in large cities, both Philadelphia, Boston, other large cities around the world, high density housing can be done, and it can be done exceptionally well. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa Clark.
My philosophy in balancing development and open space. We know through research that people who live near open space are happier and they're healthier. So public health is a concern, not just a concern, but a priority of mine. And I think the way that I would balance this is to require more open space within the developments that developers are presenting us. Because all too often the concept plans that we see, or that I've seen and I hope all of you have seen as well, are basically urban heat islands without any greenery and lots of shade casting buildings onto a grassy area that could be thriving. Thank you.
Okay. Dalton Vallette.
So when I was born here, I was able to explore a lot of the open space that was around here. I would go searching for coyotes and great horned owls, and I want to make sure that we still have a lot of kids who are able to go into the open space and enjoy it just as I did when I was growing up here. I think there are a number of parcels of land that would make excellent designated open space, such as the Harrius property, CenturyLink, Town 15, to name a few. And as far as development options go, I think it's very important that we start to cater towards members of Superior who don't have the options to continue living here. And I think Mr. Stewart was mentioning a little bit earlier, a large portion of our population is aging, and I think it would be very important to look into having ranch-style homes, single-level housing for individuals who are not able to go up a lot of stairs, and to have affordable housing options for those residents if they're seeking to downgrade. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Lish.
I think this will be the single biggest challenge of the town board over the next 4 years. As the chair of the Open Space Committee, I'm clearly a proponent of conserving our open spaces. We've worked diligently to create the Open Space Summary Report to identify properties that we should purchase to utilize the 0.3% open space sales tax that we have here in Superior and the open space fund that's over $4 million. However, we need to also ensure that our development is balanced within the community. We need to ensure that we have a diverse and broad tax base to ensure that we have a financial future that is sustainable and stable going forward. I think what we need to do is make sure that we have people and leaders on our board that have the experience and knowledge that can balance all of those different factors and ensure that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and develop so heavily and so densely that we lose the reasons why all of us live here, which is oftentimes the open space, the nature, and the parks.
Thank you. Jack Chang.
So I echo everybody have said. Most important of all, I believe that we should really understand the definition of natural open space and then focus a little bit more on preservation as well as wildlife conservation. And I had the opportunity to, for the school project, I had the opportunity to look at several of the parcels in our town. And I believe the key thing, the balance is, we got to make sure that there is enough residential buffer, and then we got to make sure that the surrounding landscape are created, designed, created beautifully. And that's as one with nature or with the surrounding environment. And then as far as for the Zaharias property, we were considering that, and then what we trying to do is we want to create more buffer zone between the reservoir, or we want to do things that would not interrupt the wildlife that is in existence, abundance of wildlife that we have enjoyed as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Clint Folsom.
Superior is a small 4 square mile town, and we've got a diminishing amount of available space, whether it be for open space or development. So we've clearly got to have a careful balancing act as the remaining spaces are either developed or preserved as open space. People constantly tell me that they moved here and they value tremendously the open space. So we're fortunate that we have an open space fund, and I absolutely support using that when purchases come before us as the board that makes sense for the town as a whole. So absolutely supporting continuing that program. Thank you.
Thank you. And Laura Skwadzinski.
So as a businesswoman and a numbers person, I'm sure people would expect me to err on the side of development here, but it's actually the opposite. I'd like to see us move to acquire more open space sooner rather than later, because we can't undo development to make more open space, but we can go in the other direction if we err the wrong way. I'd like to see us use that $4 million in the open space fund to acquire more open space for the town while it's still available. Those properties are rapidly disappearing. Finally, one thing that my fellow candidates haven't yet touched on, I want to ensure that our developers adhere to the design guidelines that we as a town have spent a lot of time and effort to create. The new Lanterns Way development that's been created does not have the requisite number of trees per home, which I see as a problem and yet hasn't been brought up. Of course, it's possible that that won't be feasible for the developer to do, but that's something that I would like to see us at least push back on and try to get these developers to adhere to these guidelines that we have so carefully created.
Thank you. Okay, so this is going to be our last question. And I'm going to start with Jack Chang and go this way. And I'm doing you a favor here. This is an opportunity for you to get started on your closing statement, because that will be the next thing we'll go to. What are the top
I'm sorry,
three?
which direction did you say you were going to go?
This way.
Thank you.
What are the top 3 qualifications to fill the position you are running for?
So
What are
aside
your
from-
top 3?
Okay. Number one is I have a business background. Again, managing a $800 million private equity fund. And I believe that there is, at times, when it comes to development and proposal, and I believe the mentality and the capacity of our town or town board is, they're thinking that we don't have something good to offer, but I believe we do have something good to offer. So we don't have to bend over and backward for developers. Okay, we could even have more bidders to bid on specific proposals or lands and things like that. So that's the first one that I have is on the business side. Now, I'm a very good listener. And then, so again, it's important for me to listen to what the residents truly want for the future of our town. And lastly, I'm a very good executioner. And I talk very little, but I do a lot. And I execute on getting the project done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, Ken Lish.
I believe the top 3 qualifications, in no particular order, are experience, financial aptitude, and the ability to engage and build our community. I believe experience is of the utmost necessity to ensure that we have leaders that can come in and not make the mistakes of the past, that we have continuity of government with half of the board of our trustees turning over, and that we can actually build on what's already been created. For financial aptitude, I believe it's necessary to ensure that we have people who can make strong financial decisions to ensure that we have a long and prosperous future. And then finally, and probably most importantly, the ability to build and engage our community. We've had many topics over the past year come up that have split our community down the middle. We need people who can come in and build bridges rather than create walls, and actually bring us together as a single community rather than small little diasporas. Thank you.
Thank you. Dalton Vallette.
Thank you for that question. Google, in their company handbook, has a simple motto to promote to all of their employees: don't be evil. And I believe in that philosophy, firstly. And secondly, I also believe you need to keep it simple when it comes to requirements to doing good as a trustee. I believe you need to have honesty, courage, and persistence in doing good. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Teresa Clark.
3 qualifications for the job. I have an unusual business background in that I was fortunate enough, along with 12 other people, to have taken my first company public before I turned 35. There aren't many people that can say that, and there aren't many women that can say that. My business and management skills gave me the ability to have the meteoric success that I did in business, and I feel that that transfers pretty well into the business end of running our town and the public policy of that. Secondly, I've been a resident participant. I've sat in the very seats that you guys have, probably in every one of them, since 2013 as a participant of the process. And finally, I have an unusual tenacity and an unusual tenacity to build consensus, because we have to agree and we do have to be neighborly.
Thank you. Neil Shaw.
Thank you. The 3 top qualifications, and at least the ones that I think I fit best into, one is family and community focused. I have the unique opportunity, I've had the unique opportunity of seeing my parents move in here 18 years ago in the year 2000, and then we moved in here 9 years ago. 2 completely different ends of the demographic spectrum. How are they using and how is Superior working for them? Financial aptitude, I think, is critical. The town of Superior has a very large budget. Having a financial background will allow me to dig into the details and really tease out where the opportunities may be. And finally, a love of Superior. You really have to love this town. You really have to want to stay here and be here to be a part of this board and to continue to be a part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Stewart.
Yes, thank you. I believe that what I would bring is civic and community experience, and I think that that would be a very important part of the job. My time as a planning commissioner, as a coach, as a past board member for many of our other town groups is important, and it is a part of the experience that counts. Experience in life is very important. I heard someone mention gray hair earlier, and I have a ton of that, and you just don't get that overnight. So that went with a lot of heartache as well as a lot of joy. So I think experience really counts. And then also, I am a business owner and have been so for over 20 years. And what I would bring is that business experience to the board, how to look at things and evaluate them.
Time is up.
Perfectly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Laura Skwadzinski.
Yes, thank you. So I think one of the first skills, as echoed by a lot of my fellow candidates, is around business acumen. I've already told you about how I'm a management consultant, but to provide kind of some exterior proof, I'll note that last year BizWest magazine named me one of 40 under 40. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment and looking forward to bringing more of my business and client skills to Superior. Along the same lines, problem-solving skills, consensus building. I think you need to be open to new solutions. You have to be open to creative solutions. But most importantly, once you come up with a solution, it's not the job of the board to just say, this is it, and go. It's important for them to actually get the community to buy into those solutions. You're never going to make everyone happy, but I think there's a lot more we can do in order to make sure that residents understand where the decision came from. And so on that note, it's about transparency. I've been meeting with a lot of residents, telling them why I think the way I do, and I think that's something extremely important for trustees, to be able to stand behind their decisions and or to say, I was wrong, I'll do it better next time.
Thank you. And Clint Folsom.
My top 3 qualifications would be time, experience, and service. I'm a small business owner, and I have a loving family that supports my endeavors, and so I'm fortunate to have a flexible schedule, and being mayor takes a good bit of time, and I'm fortunate to be able to bring that experience. I've had 10 years of experience in town government, 6 on the planning commission, 4 as mayor, and I think that's very important as having that experience on the board and a 20-year resident of Superior. And service is my desire to elevate the role of mayor and truly serve the community on a day-by-day basis. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we've come to the time for closing statements, and we'll go backwards from the opening statements and start with Laura Skwadzinski.
Thank you. As someone who values goal setting and planning, I want us to create a vision for what we want Superior to be and define a roadmap to get there. We need to proactively engage and understand what's most important to residents, and then use that lens to consistently evaluate opportunities and make the right choices. With over a decade of experience helping businesses grow and thrive, I'm well positioned to understand applicants' needs as well as our own, and propose tactical suggestions that will benefit our residents. I want to use my customer experience expertise to champion more things that make Superior not only the best place to send our kids to school and go to sleep at night, but the best place to spend our free time. Imagine if Superior wasn't just the gateway to Boulder Valley, but if it was the place for our residents to stay for restaurants, festivals, and farmers markets. Having our residents head off to neighboring towns not only hurts our sales tax base, but also our community, because at heart, we're a small town, and I want to preserve that small town spirit even as we grow. Thank you for your time tonight, and I look forward to hearing more from each of you.
Okay, Anthony Stewart.
Yes, again, thank you, League of Women Voters, for hosting this tonight. I want to start by saying, first of all, I am not a politician, and what you're going to get as having me on the board is someone who's going to be a straight shooter, who's going to answer questions and not beat around the bush, trying to avoid questions. I do love Superior, as I have heard a lot this evening, and I am very interested in protecting the past, present, and future. We have some very incredible historic values that are in place and that are a part of our town, and I really want to preserve those. I also want to create transparency, and we hear that a lot. But what I mean by that is that there are pockets in our town where people are not feeling like they're heard, and I'd like to be able to have everyone
I'm sorry, your time is up. Neil Shaw.
Thank you. I want to first thank the League of Women Voters for hosting and organizing this event, as well as this full house of Superior residents and the hundreds of millions that are watching it on TV. Maybe. I want to also be very clear that I have no financial interest or conflicts with any of the developers, potential developers, or businesses within the city. However, I do have a vested interest in their success. We all do. Our city continues to thrive due to active participation, and I appreciate all the great questions we've heard tonight. If you happen to see me biking around town or walking the trails with our dog, please feel free to let me know any of your thoughts. My reasons for running are driven by a goal to see smart growth, a strong community, and solid financial stewardship. I care deeply for this town, and I want you to know that you can trust me to care for it as much as you do. Remember to vote for Neil Shaw, for trustee, number 4 on the ballot. Thank you.
And now Teresa Clark.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting us this evening. I appreciate it. And I also want to thank the residents and all of you sitting in the chairs for your questions, for the breadth and the depth of those questions, because it's your questions that make us better trustees, and I hope to earn your vote to become your trustee. It's in my DNA to be a good neighbor. And I picked Superior because of its friendly people, the open space, and all of the attributes that you all have brought up here this evening. A little bit of personal background. I moved 8 times before the 7th grade. I've seen and lived in a lot of places of the world, and my family, we chose Superior because we love it here, and I want to be your trustee. Not the trustee, but your trustee. Thank you.
Okay, Dalton Vallette.
I would like to thank you all again for taking time out of your busy days and coming down here and attending this forum, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. I hope moving forward, we in Superior maintain the values that we hold dear. Values such as equality for all, a love for the environment, commitment to our children's education, and a knowledge and affluent populace which supports and loves our community. Now, how do I know that we have these values? because where else could I have attained these values but from my own home and my own community? And now I believe it is time we have persistent leadership on the board, have trustees willing to take the heat for the good of the citizens, scrutinize the details to ensure they're correct, and maintain ethics and compliance until the end so that each day Superior can get a little bit better. And that requires persistence, and persistence in doing good. Thank you, and vote Villette.
Ken Lish.
Thank you again to the residents who are here this evening and watching at home. I'm not a politician. I'm a leader who cares about his community. I want to get down to business and actually start working to make Superior the best place possible. In this time of growth and maturity, the decisions made over the next 4 years will shape the look, feel, character, and long-term financial viability of our town. It's critical that we elect leaders with a proven track record of working to enhance the quality of life for Superior residents, of making fiscally responsible decisions, and leading through transparent choices and open communication. I think the mayor is probably the only person who has more experience in this town than I do, and I look to put that experience to work for you, the residents. I've lived in both Northwest Superior and Rock Creek and understand what it takes to be an inclusive leader that represents all parts of Superior. I believe this experience, combined with my vision of a family-friendly town with strong community bonds that support our local businesses, makes me an excellent candidate for trustee. And not to be outdone by Neil, vote for Ken Lish, first on the ballot, first in our hearts.
Thank you. Jack Chang.
Okay, going back to heart, my heart for Superior. Again, H stands for healthcare. I've been investing in healthcare since my sister Mary passed away from cancer. Whether it's cancer research or cancer screening, but beyond that, there is something that I'm sure a lot of us know about, CBD. Industrial hemp-derived CBD that will be a game changer and that will be able to provide equality in healthcare. I believe we could bring a lot of that in our town, in a lot of healthcare type of related incubator business and entrepreneurial programs in our town to help boost and grow our town's business and tax revenue. And also going back to E, education. Equality in education, I truly believe that there's an opportunity for us to bring a school, high school in particular in our town, and to be able to provide the true equality in education.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
So the last word from the candidates will be from Clint Folsom.
Thank you very much to the League of Women Voters for hosting our event this evening. And thank you, the residents of Superior that are here and watching online and on TV and will watch later, for taking the time to research the candidates and inform your decisions. Serving as mayor for the past 4 years has truly been an honor, and I appreciate my wife, my sons, parents, and the entire Superior community for supporting me in this journey. We are all team players. My agenda is very clear. It's service to the community, just like I've given for the last 4 years as mayor. I want to continue using my time to listen to you, evaluate, and make decisions that are in the best interest of our town. And I would appreciate your support and your vote. Thank you.
Okay, well, so with all of these thank yous going around, let me say it has been the pleasure of the League of Women Voters of Boulder County to sponsor this forum along with the town of Superior. And I'm happy to see that we have a full house here. And I want to thank each of the candidates for coming and for our audience for participating. So that concludes the candidates forum for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.